Hi everybody, this is Dr. Taravi and welcome to the new session of the leadership LED3665. Today subject is very interesting, important, crucial, honestly in all aspects of life, not only in leadership, because leadership and management are pliable in all aspects of life. So power is the main thing in leadership. Power is at the core of leadership. We cannot never see any type of leadership, any type of management, even in a family, as a family member, as a father, as a mother. A very small but basic and important organization, family. Even in family, you cannot see leadership without power. Power is at the core of leadership. This chapter question is about power. Power is essential to leadership, but it can also be abused. How can leaders use power to get things done without becoming autocratic or abusive? Autocratic is someone who knows only his or her word. He has hard pushing to others for dominancy of his thinking, his or her thinking, emotions, ideas, and managerial levels or managerial procedure or leadership levels or leadership procedures. Power is essential to leadership. At first, we accept that we cannot do any type of leadership without power. But power can also be abused. The question is, how can leaders use power to get things done without becoming autocratic or abusive? We will talk about it in this chapter. At first, operational and conceptual definitions of power. Power is the ability of one person to influence others and exercise control over them. So, in the definition of power, there are two key points, two key words. One, influence. Second, control. Each of them is important at the basis of power. If you don't have any of them, if you have only control, but you don't have any influence, in the rest of the chapter, we'll talk about it. Or if you have only influence, but you don't have any control. Okay. So power is the ability of one person to influence other and exercise control over them. But what is the meaning of influence? The power to affect the course of an action. Power included influence. Influence included affect. How the power to affect the course of an action is influence. But authority, the power vested in a position. We read a lot of texts about the psychotherapy, about the management, organizational management, or social leadership. There is a word that there are a lot of discussions about it, and the meaning of it, and the concept of it, and the operational definition of it, and also conceptual definition of it. And that word is authority. Some experts, some managers, some psychologists, some leaders, academic and non-academic, thought leaders think that no, in the modern world, authority is not a good thing. It is for the ancient world. It is not for this age, for this time. On the other side, this is the conceptual. The people are disagree with this concept, authority. They focus on conceptual definition of authority. But other people who are agree with the authority, they have an operational definition of authority. They think and they say and they analyze the position of authority and the people with authority as a manipulating tools for governing the situation, for administrating the situation. For example, if as a manager, as a father, as a leader, as a psychotherapist, you don't have any authority under the persons who are in different level of the life. For example, as a parent, your child, as a spouse, your wife or your husband, as a manager, your organizational members, as a leader, your followers and other people, that they are under the dominancy of your thought, of your feeling, of your actions. You are the source of power. Yes. In this position, you should have authority. Why? If you don't have any authority, how can you lead? How can you guide? How can you speak acceptable, socially acceptable speak with your community? But the key word in authority, that authority is position-based. In some positions, yes, you have authority. And other positions, you may have not authority. So authority is the position-based. I want to notice to this keyword. It's very important in sharp thinking about everything. You cannot remember all things you read, and it is not necessary for you. You are not a library. You are a thinking person. So you should know the keywords and combine the keywords in your mind, in your imagination, in your logical reasoning, and sometimes in your emotional reasoning, and produce a self-definition of what you have studied. So keywords are very important. In authority, keyword is position. In influence, keyword is affect. In power is influence and control. These are the definitions of power. But power has two impacts, on power holder and on the followers. On power holder, power has two sides of impact. One, positive impacts. Second, negative impacts. But on follower, power can have, not always, can have one of these impacts or something between these impacts: commitment, compliance, and resistance, that we will talk about it just now. Negative impact of power on power holder. I have power. I am in a power situation, and sometimes they said to me that you are dealing, are treating, are behaving not appropriate to your power situation, not logical, not reasonable, not effective, more important than everything. What's the problem? Negative impact of power on power holder. One, want to acquire more. Want to acquire more. The more you have, the more you want. The more you have, the more you want. Two, oblivious to others' needs. You don't pay any attention, any regard, any respect to other people, your employees, your wife, your husband, your child, and your community members. You don't pay any attention, you don't have any regard, any even respect to their needs. Cannot empathize. Empathy is sometimes very weak in the leaders. in the power holder. I think I want to change it. Not always leaders, but power holders. Yeah. Empathy is sometimes because when I cannot pay attention to your needs, how can I empathize with you? How can? Empathy is I feel instead of you. If I was in a place of you, for example, place of love, place of sadness, place of anger, place of stress, place of anxiety, and other things. When I empathize with you, okay, I can imagine and feel your pain. It's empathy. When I'm a power holder, I cannot imagine. I can imagine but cannot feel. No, the problem is not in imagination, it's in feeling. Because I'm in the power position, I think, what are these problems? These are not problems. How weak he or she is to have such feeling. You cannot empathize. And addiction to power. Wow. All types of addiction has a lot of withdrawal syndrome, especially power addiction. When the power holder lost the power. Sometimes I have seen or heard people in the power position after losing power will die very, very soon. They cannot tolerate not to be with power, not to have power. Especially in, for example, some people like power holders like military. You are a high level person in military, and after that, okay, you will retire some days. Go home. It is not the military. It is your wife. It is your son. It is your daughter. It is your neighbor. And you cannot have the authority over them. Oh, a lot of people shows in this position withdrawal syndrome, like withdrawal syndrome in other types of addiction. They have a lot of psychological pain. They are restless. They experience restlessness, emotion restlessness, feeling restlessness, and maladjustment with the new position and other things. Take credit, negative stereotypes of others. Yes, I am power holder. I always criticize other persons because I'm power holder. I focus on criticism. Why? Because I'm power holder. I should find your negative points to correct and recorrect them. And distance from others. Yeah, winner stands alone sometimes, but power holders stand alone always. Why? When I'm in power situation, I cannot share my position with you. If I can share it, it may get weaker. It's not power. You cannot share your power. As a power holder, during the rest of the course and rest of this lesson, I will say you and I will teach you that when you are a leader, you are in power position, but you are not absolutely power holder. Power holder is very rigid. So you will be isolated from others. You have some distance from others. Oh, we said a lot about the negative impacts of power on power holder. What are the positive impacts? What are the good impacts of power on power holder? Essential to leadership. At first, when you are or you want to be a leader, you should have power. You should be power holder. Essential to organization, essential to administration, essential to management. More action-oriented. It's very good. When you have power, it is not fair to say that you don't pay attention to concepts or to definitions. It's the basic of everything. When you are power holder, you try to action more and more sensitive, and focus on rules. Rules are the guard of power, and more generous. Generosity is very, very high in power holder. Also, these more action-oriented, more sensitive, focus on rules, and more generous are the specific positive impacts of power on power holder. Change the methodology of life, change the lifestyle of power holder before holding and after holding. We talk about the impact of power on power holder. Now we are talking about the impact of power on follower. Why negative or positive for power holder, but not for follower? The impact of power on followers make it continue, make a spectrum. There is not very, very clear border between different impacts of power on followers. But we should assume or pre-assume some borders. Why? Because we want to talk together about the areas of impact of power on power holders and followers. So it is very overlapped. The first, commitment. The first and the best impact is commitment. Commitment is very good. What's the meaning of commitment? As an impact of power on followers. Commitment happens when followers welcome the influence process and accept it as reasonable and legitimate. It's very important that followers accept the reasoning behind the use of power by power holder, the logic behind the leadership style. They accept it. They are very welcome to the influence process. Okay, they are real followers. They are real followers, not pretending as followership, not showing up. They are real followers. They know that there is a reasonable strategy, a reasonable statement behind the leadership style. But after that, it is compliance. Compliance happens when although followers accept the influence process and go along with the request, they don't feel any personal acceptance or deep commitment to carry out the order. So, in commitment and compliance, you see that followers are following the power holder in both of them. Observation is following. External is the same, but internal is a little different. Maybe not a little, maybe a basic difference. Why? In commitment, you have personal acceptance. You are passionate. You are logical acceptance about the power style used by power holder. But in compliance, you are following. You accept influence process. You welcome influence process. But you don't have any personal acceptance. You don't have any compassion and passion about any zest, any vitality about your following. After that, you cannot follow. It is the third part, resistance. Happens when followers does not agree with the attempt at influence and either actively or passively resist it. Sometimes we cannot see the resistance. It is passive resistance. Stonewalling, for example. Waiting or put off, procrastination. All are types of passive resistance. Sometimes you see active resistance. What is active resistance? I cannot obey you. I cannot follow you. I don't like to follow you. I cannot accept your logic, accept your reason. You can see it. It's observable and sometimes measurable for you. It is active resistance. So, at the best, emotional, cognitive, behavioral, psychosocial, spiritual, we can see that followers are following the leadership, following the power, following the power holder, following the leadership style, or other types of leading, for example, management. It's a leader lower. I follow you, and I'm under influence of you as a leader. I follow you. But honestly, I cannot accept your rationality behind the leadership style, behind the leadership logic, leadership reasons. But I follow you. It is compliance. But in the worst of the cases, I cannot follow you. Straight, active resistance, hidden, passively resistance. Reliance on compliance alone can lead to dire consequences. Very good sentence. Please never forget it. It is very common, very ordinary in management. That reliance on compliance alone can lead to dire consequences. A lot of managers rely only on compliance, not commitment, inner acceptance, not resistance, outer resistance. It's compliance, something between commitment and resistance. As a general, a leader's power increases when employees are personally committed and accept the leader's ideas and decisions. Personally committed. Acceptance. Internally, personally. With their passion, with their logic, with their reasons. Own acceptance. Why? Because power based on simple compliance does not really increase the leader's power. Managers who lead with a firm hand may actually encourage deviant behaviors in their employers. We can see in the organizations aggressive behavior, passive aggressive behaviors, and sometimes stonewalling. And leaders may come to rely excessively on compliance because it is easier and quicker to simply order people to do something. Rather than persuade them that they should do it. What location you see a lot of demand for compliance? In parenting. In parenting, especially under 10, you see that parents reliance on compliance a lot. Why? They think, it is not true, but the parents think that children is not very logical, cannot understand everything, cannot accept the rationality behind every step of life, every action. And they want, and they rely excessively, not sometimes, on compliance. Why? Because it is easier and quicker to simply order the child. to do something. Individual power. One type of power is individual power. With that definition of power we deliver to you. There are two sources for individual power. One, position powers. Two, personal powers. Three power in the category of position powers and two power in the category of personal powers. So we have 5 types of individual power. Legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, expert power, referent power. What is the meaning of position power? The position power is a type of power that you have because you own or you are delivered a specific position, especially in the organizations, positions for organization. For example, if you are a father, your power cannot get less or more because your position cannot change. Your power can change, but your father position cannot change. Until the end of your life, you are father. But for example, if you are a manager, okay, after some time, you can change another one become the manager. In the type of manager, which type of management you use is related to your power and your perceived power. Something which is very important. How do you think about your position power? There are 3 types of position power. 1, legitimate power. 2, reward power. And 3, coercive power. What is legitimate power? Legitimate power is based on a person holding a formal position. Formal position. Others comply. Why others comply? Because they accept the legitimacy of the position of the power holder. So it has a legal support, which is formal support behind your position. Okay, I am manager, I am boss, and you, as the employees, should obey me, should follow me, should hearing my orders. Because I have a formal power holder. It's related to my situation. What other types of position power is reward power? Reward and punishment system is approved in neurology, neuropsychology, neuroscience, brain science, everything you want to call it. That the basic guidance, the basic shaper of the behaviors in mammals, not only in human, in mammals, is the reward and punishment system in the brain. So you can see this fact, this very old fact, it is one of the first and best findings about the human behavior, the factors that shape the human behavior, what the reward and punishment system. So you can see it also in power situation. When your power situation or position power is reward, people or employee and other people comply you because you can give reward or not, because they want the rewards that you can offer. Reward power is based on a person's access to rewards. The more access, the more power. The more access, the nature of power in this position is access to rewards. how many rewards you can give to the others. Okay, you have more power. You see a lot of monetary or financial reward in the organization. Also, it is not very effective psychologically. It is not very effective only when your management system, management style is based upon the only punishment and reward. But you can see a lot of rewards. And if you have a full option manager, that you have all the authorities in an organization, you can use the rewards for your management, for administration of your organization. Okay. In the other side, it is coercive power. Coercive power or punishment power. It is based on a person's ability to punish. Others comply because they fear punishment. The other side of oppositional of reward system, reward power. So the position, the formal position can give you three types of power. One, legitimacy of the power, legal support or legal confirmation. Two, the opportunity for giving the rewards to the other people so they obey, they comply you as a manager, as a leader, as a power holder. We are talking about the power. Or the punishment you can do against the people, against your followers. It is coercive power. But what is about the personal power? Personal power has two types, expert power or referent power. What is the meaning of personal power? The personal power is that type of power that will not change if your formal position change. Your formal position will change, but your personal power will not change. Will not change seriously. The different levels, different degrees, yes, but not change seriously. First, expert power. Two, referent power. What is expert power? As you can guess from the name of from the title of it, it is expert power. Expert power is based on a person's expertise, competence, and information in certain area. You are expert, so you have the power of handling the others because you have a specific knowledge, professional knowledge. Others comply because they believe in the power holder's knowledge and competence. So the keyword in the expert power is knowledge and competence. It is very modern. It is very, very modern type of power. In this age, you are living, knowledge and competence is the first thing to grow. If you don't have any specific knowledge and a specific competence, not total knowledge. In the internet age, you don't need any total knowledge or overall knowledge, specific knowledge. The more about the less. It is one of the definition for specialization. Someone who knows more about the less, about the very, very smart and little, for example, subjects. I know about it a lot. Expert. And the last type of power, personal power, is referent power. Referent power is sometimes called charisma. Charisma is not dominance. Charisma is influence on the hearts, on the feelings. They love you because your personality, your character, your traits. your verbal and non-verbal communication, your body language. Referent power is based on a person's attractiveness to and friendship with others. So here we have two keywords. One, attractiveness to others. Two, friendship with others. Good communication. Others comply because they respect and like the power holder. Permanent power holder. Non-stop power holding. Never ending and never changing power holding. Because they like you. They accept you. They respect you. They are your friends. They're real friends, deep friend. You are attractive for them. I think also it is not an organizational power. But the main and basic part of power is referent power or charisma. So you can see potential reactions to individual sources of power. We have 5 sources: coercion, reward, legitimacy, expertise, and referent. And 3 reactions: resistance, compliance, and commitment. If you remember in the definition of commitment, we say that they have personal commitment, internalized commitment. They like you. They like to comply you. They like to obey you. They accept internalized you as a leader. It is not external, it is internal. By their feeling. Followers want obey you by their feelings. It is reference. And while in legitimacy, they cannot follow you. They should follow you. Okay. But sometimes they don't accept you by their heart, by their personality. It is not commitment, it's compliance, it's legitimacy. And when it is coercive, sorry, I will resist you as a leader. We cannot accept your power holding. Reward and expertise is between these ranges. 9 strategies of influence tactics. 9 strategies. Influence is one of the major keywords in definition of power. Rational persuasion, inspirational appeal, consultation, ingratiation, personal appeal, exchange, coalition building, legitimate tactics, and pressure. These are 9 categories of influence tactics that you can see each category in which power source. For example, if you are expert and access to information, influence tactic is rational persuasion. How can you influence other people? What your rationality, what your knowledge. Why not? But if you're different, your power is different power, you are charismatic, your personality is good, is attractive, and other people like it. Your influence tactic should be inspirational, motivational. You can influence on their heart, on the deep part of their minds. They love you. They want to obey you. So your influence tactic is not, for example, rational persuasion for somebody who is charismatic. It's not about the knowledge, about the rationality. It is about influence over the hearts, over the minds, over the personalities, over the characters. So you should be, as a referent power holder, as an attractive personality, if you want to influence other people, you should inspire them. And other types, for example, Here we are also referring to that personal appeal in exchange for reward and information and other things. What is the meaning of strategic contingency? Strategy is a very basic, very important, that relatively coverages all areas of management. I can tell you all areas of human sciences, psychology, sociology, anthropology, ontology, and also management, and also leadership, and also coaching, strategy, a very key word in all types and all levels of human behavior. When you talk about a strategy contingency, at first, you should provide an operational definition. A strategy contingency suggests that individuals, teams, or departments gain power based on their ability to address issues that are instrumental or strategic to reach organizational goals. What are these? 1, coping with uncertainty. 2, centrality. 3, dependency. And 4, substitutability. That we will discuss in each of them. A strategic contingency. Coping with uncertainty, centrality, dependency, and substitutability. Coping with uncertainty. You know that uncertainty and ambiguity and confusion, darkness sometimes, mental darkness, produces fear. And one of the basic reactions to fear is fight. Sometimes flight, but fight is very much ordinary than flight. So one of and uncertainty is a basic part of human nature, human life. Basic part of every type of life, not only human life. So ambiguity tolerance, uncertainty tolerance, or uncertainty coping strategy. How can you cope with uncertainty? What is the meaning of coping? Coping is everything you feel, you think, or you do that increases the chance of survival for you. It is the scientific definition of coping in an evolutionary approach. Everything that increases your chances of life, your survival chance, survival rate, it is a good coping strategy. So, a strategic contingency, 1, coping with uncertainty based on the ability to reduce uncertainty for others, is a type of a strategy. 2, centrality. Centrality is based on being central to how the organization achieves its mission and goals. Dependency. Dependency is based on others depending on power holder to get their work done. And 4, substitutability, based on providing a unique and irreplaceable service or product to others. Uniqueness. We will talk about them just now. What is the best method for uncertainty reduction? First, clearance, data collection, gathering information. It is the first type of any analysis. For example, in master degree, when you want to write your dissertation, your thesis, it has 4 stages. 1, data collection. 2, data analysis. 3, results. for discussion. So data collection, gathering information, assessment is the basic part of every type of make it something clear. Going out of confusion is data collection. They can obtain information that others need through market research, polls, contact with key constituents, focus groups, or reliance on external experts. 2, uncertainty prevention. Prevention is always better and lower cost than intervention. For example, vaccination is a type of prevention. Why? Vaccination is lower cost than, for example, treatment. Prevention is always lower cost than intervention. One of them is uncertainty prevention, focuses on the prediction of upcoming changes. We have 3 stages: prediction, prevention, intervention. At first, you predict, for example, weather. If your prediction shows that the weather will be heavy rainy, okay, second part is prevention. For example, announce about the flooding to people. And absorption. Prevent the change from affecting other teams or departments. What is the meaning of it? We are working together in an organization with the other team members, with the other departments. Okay. If you don't give, don't receive the changes of other people on yourself, on your department, okay, it is good. Why? Because these changes and these effects are uncertain. We cannot predict and prevent easily. So absorption is mean prevent the change from affecting other teams or departments. These are the procedures for uncertainty reduction methods. What centrality as an organizational source of power is? The centrality to production or service delivery process. 2, the factor that relates to how a team's activity contribute to the mission and the goals of organization. It is very, very important in the strategic contingency. Centrality is very important. Why? You said strategic contingencies suggest that individual teams or departments gain power based on their ability to address issues that are instrumental or strategic to reaching organizational goals. So centrality is very important. There's some type of speciality, some type of uniqueness of the service of that department, that team, that group. And dependency and substitutability. Dependency, if employees depend on a team, not single, not personal, not private, team worker, team member, group. If employees depend on a team to provide them with information and resources, the team's power will increase. Together, we are stronger. If employees depend on a team to provide them with information and resources, the team's power will increase. Not only for each member of the team, but the total team power will increase. The larger the number of dependents and individuals who depend on the team, the greater the team's power will be. More dependency, more power. And substitutability if the tasks performed by the team are unique and not easily provided by others in the organization, and if no substitutes are available, the dependence on the team and its power increases. For example, in a very specific market for some things, that is very rare supplier for it. Okay, the team, the organization, for example, it is not true. For example, you think about the gold. Why is gold so expensive? One of the main reasons of the higher price for the gold is gold is not very popular for everybody. Yes, everybody can use gold, but the production and the discovery and the course of finding gold and change it to the other types of gold, it is not very general. It is scarcity. It is rare. It cannot substitute with other metals. It is gold, precious metal. So something like it happens in the organization, in the groups. If you deliver a specific service to your community, to your society, to your customers, that it is very unique and they cannot find it other places, other cities, other providers, yes, it will increase your power as a power holder, as a team. Sometimes I want to talk to you in substitutability about concept is trust in economy. I only talk a little about it and you can find it and study about it. Trust is all the producers, all the people or companies who are in one market will be together to get limited the supply of that product. Why? Because the price will increase. Why? Because it is unique. It is unique to those producers. It is something like substitutability. And how to make teams more effective. There are 3 recommendations for making teams more effective. 1, making teams central to the mission of the organization. Give them some specific duties, some specific responsibilities, some specific tasks. 2, assigning them to meaningful tasks. That was, the first one was external. When we do, as the experts, we do some specific tasks. Okay, we have some centrality in our organization, in our market. But the second one, the second part is internal. How do we think about our tasks? Is it meaningful for us? Do we love our tasks? Honestly, the job is not love. It is not necessary for you to love all details of your job. But totally, your job, your task should be meaningful for you. Love is not necessary here. But meaningful or meaningless is very, very cutting point and very, very important here. And third, providing team with access to decision makers. Straight access. When the team is very far from decision makers, And these are other people here, interpretation, 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 interpretation. At first, the order of decision maker or something, and the order that the team members receive is other thing. Sometimes, not always, sometimes with a lot of differences. At first, this is that when you have direct connection, direct access, decision makers, the orders will be delivered to you so clearly. Second one, the sense of importance. When a group, when a team is near to the source of power, he or she or the members think that, oh, I'm significant in this organization. I am important. I am a lot of powerful. I am very powerful. For what? For gaining the organization goals. Why I think about myself in such a way? Because I am near the power source. It's very important. So there are two recommendations about how to make teams more effective. One, making team central to the mission of the organization. Two, assigning them to meaningful tasks. And three, providing them with access to decision makers. Managing power when you are a new manager. 7 recommendations, 7 count. Know that you know what you don't know. It's very important. Nobody knows everything. Know what you know and what you don't know. 2, get help. You are a manager, especially you are a new manager. You need help. Rely on expert and referent power. It's very important. Very, very, very crucial for management success. Rely on expert and referent power. Empathize. Set up new boundaries. You are a new manager, new boundaries, new area, new definition, but new goals, because the goals are for the organization. Set up meetings. Go near to your personnel. Keep your sense of humor and give yourself time. Basic of every management, the basis of every management is self-management. The dark side of the power. We are entering other part of discussion, the second part. Dark side of power. In the first part, we talk about the power situation, and the types of power and other things. So we are at the first of second part. The dark side of power: abuse, corruption, and destructive leadership. Abuse entails using one's title and position improperly to exploit situations and people. It's abuse. So keyword are position, improper, and exploit. Abuse is because of your position. If you lose your position, power situation, you will use the probability of abuse. 2 is corruption. It's abusing one's power to benefit oneself or another person, or getting others to do something unethical or illegal. So, when you are talking about the corruption, you are talking about the abuse, benefit, unethical or illegal. What is destructive or toxic leadership? We have a lot of toxic things around the world. Toxic relationship, toxic substance, toxic weather. And what about the toxic leadership? Destructive or toxic leadership is defined as leadership that violates the interest of organization, and the well-being of followers. The keyword violate. What? Interest or well-being. Tricky word in toxic leadership. Violates the interests of organization and the well-being of followers. It is manager for organizations, for leader for followers. These are dark side of the power. Whereas power abuse is unfortunately not always illegal. Corruption is both illegal and unethical. Sorry, power abuse is sometimes illegal, not always. It is always unethical. Power abuse and corruption, both are unethical. But power abuse sometimes is not illegal. One, someone who has abused cannot approve the abusement. Okay, it is not illegal, but unethical. But destructive or toxic leadership is one aspect of abuse and corruption, but may not always involve corruption. Yes, in toxic leadership, when you have abuse, consider in this side. When you have abuse over your followers or corruption of your situation or abuse of your situation, you have toxic leadership. But on the other side, other direction is not always. For example, if you have toxic leadership, you may have corruption or abuse or not. But if you have abuse or corruption in this part, you have toxic leadership. Toxic leadership is a subcategory of abuse. Every type of abuse, every type of corruption includes toxic leadership or destructive. Something funny, very, very funny. Why? Destructive leader may even make positive contributions to their organization. Yes. For example, we talked about it last previous session, and we will talk about in this session again. If you are a paranoid manager and you ask about everything and you concentrate on the worst part of everything, sometimes it is very good, sometimes it is very good for the organization. Why? You will focus on the worst details of the organization. Good focus. Worst details. Is it true details? Yes, but not all the details. You're an inspector. You are not manager. You are deductive. You are not manager. You are not leader. Only criticize everything. Is it destructive leadership? Yes. It has made contribution to organization also? Yes. So why do we call it destructive? Because it is not healthy, and in the long term it will destroy the health and wealth in the organization. We cannot reach the long-term goals. For the short term, sometimes it is good. Many organizations and followers experience toxic leadership. Some employees suffer in silence. They are not so courageous to leave their company, to leave the organization. Others leave the organization. Suffer in silence, yes. I don't have any opportunity, any other opportunity to leave the organization. So I'm intolerant of toxic leadership. I obey. but I cannot accept. You remember? It is compliance. Obey, but not acceptance. If obey and acceptance, it is commitment. If don't obey, it is resistance. Very general this reaction is compliance. It is 50-50. Obey, like commitment, but not accepted, like resistance. It is the middle way, the middle range. Many organizations and followers experience toxic leadership. Some employees suffer in silence, others leave the organization. But what are the causes? What are the origins of power abuse and corruption? One, leader characteristic and behavior. The first cause is leader characteristic and behavior. Two, follower characteristic and behavior. Three, organizational factors. In the communication theory, there is a very simple model that every communication has three components. One, sender. Two, receiver. Three, channel. Communication channel. The way the message from sender will send to the receiver. Some schematic, something similar to that model, we can see here. Leader characteristic, it is sender. Follower characteristic, it is receiver. An organizational factor, it is channel. What does it mean? It means that sometimes out of the organization, this leader is not a very, very, very strong abuser. This follower is not a very, very, very strong abuser. But in this organization, okay, why you call the follower as abuser? Yes, yes, it is the hierarchy of power in the organization. Every abused people want to be an abuser in other situations that in the upper level of power. When you are abused, you are in the lower levels of power, okay? It is relatively to your position. So organizational factor is very important. At first, leader characteristic and behavior as a cause of power abuse and corruption. What are the leader characteristic and behavior that causes power abuse and corruption? One, inflated view of self. Narcissistic personality. Arrogant and controlling. Rigid and inflexible. Wow. Sense of entitlement. Willing to use and exploit others. Lack of empathy and caring for others. Disinhibited, vicious, and ruthless. Overly concerned with power. And the dark triad, the personalities that we talked about them in the previous session. These 9 behavior, 9 traits, 9 characteristics can cause and produce abuse in a leader. But what about the followers? 1, fear. 2, silence. 3, agreement with everything. 4, compliance. 5, inaction. 6, flattery. 7, submissiveness. 8, anxiety. 9, conformity. And 10, collusion. These are the traits of follower that can permit a leader to be abusive. When you always feel fear, okay, your leader knows that you will not protest against anything. Maybe that leader will abuse or silence. Congress. Pay attention. Ooh, some traits like silence or agreement has double meaning. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. When we talk about the silence as a cause of power abuse and corruption, it is for the time that you are under the power of power holder, or you are always silent, no protest, no disagreement, no argument, no discussion against anything. Okay, this type of follower can encourage and may encourage the leader to abuse. And what about the channels? Remember the communication channel between sender and receiver? Organizational culture. Again, culture. Everything, when, everywhere, and every time you see culture. Separation of leaders and followers. They are not connected together. It is, organization is separated between leaders and followers. Hiring practices based on personal relationships rather than objective criteria. It is in family jobs, it occurs a lot. Short-term oriented reward system with limited criteria. It is the reward policy of the organization, short-term and limited. Centralized organizational structure. One organization, one person. Autocratic leadership. High uncertainty and chaos. No safety, no security, no clearance about the future, and highly unequal power distribution. The different levels of management with a short distance, a long distance of power, a short distance of position. For example, between two levels of mid-level managers, upper and down, a leader. But power distribution is unequal or very high for this distance. Distance is shorter than the level of power that each of them has. So these type of organizational factors can cause power abuse and corruption. You can see here, this cycle, if not stopped, feeds on itself and can lead to dire consequence for any organization. Feeds on itself. You see, leader characteristic, leaders perceive power, again perceive abusive behavior and toxic leadership, follower flattery, follower compliance, and again leader characteristic. Organizational policies, actions, climate, and culture at the central point. So, consequences of it is poor decisions, low engagement, low satisfaction, high turnover, higher fire, higher fire, higher fire, high turnover, low performance, input and output is not very balanced, and ethical and legal violations. It is consequence of power abuse and corruption. You can see here at the exit of the cycle, corruption cycle. What can we do? Solutions to power abuse and corruption. 1, clear message and consistency. 2, accountability. 3, reducing uncertainty management. Training for leaders and followers. Education and training is very important here. Very, very important here. Protecting employees. You can say about the problems you have in your organization. Open communication. Leader involvement in day-to-day activity. When the distance between leader and follower is not very long, okay, the probability and the possibility of corruption and power abuse reduces. Reducing follower dependency on leader. Okay, we are near together, but we are not dependent. It is attachment, not dependency. Empowerment, we talked about it just now. Objective performance measures, objective, observable. Involvement on outsiders, inspectors. Changing the organizational culture, which is very hard. The last part is about empower. What is the meaning of empowerment? We have strengthening or empowerment in different areas of human sciences, sociology, psychology. For example, psychology would say family strengthening or parenting empowerment. What is the meaning of strengthening or empowerment, especially empowerment, because the main title it is about power. It is power sharing. I give you one portion of my power. Why? Because together we are stronger. Definition: sharing power with subordinates and pushing decision-making and implementation power to the lowest possible level. Okay, from low levels to high levels, not from high levels to low levels. What is the goal of empowerment? Increase the power and autonomy of all employees in organizations. What are the roots of empowerment? Perception of Japanese management, it is called Kaizen. The quality circle, QC efforts of the 1970s. As a management student, you should know about it. Quality circles, Kaizen, QWL, the quality of work-life approach, QWL, and the psychological concept of self-efficacy by Bandura, provided by Bandura, and it is very important part of it is self-efficacy. What are the requirements for empowerment? What do we need for empowerment? Leadership factors and organizational factors. Two types of factors we need for empowerment. In the leadership part, leadership factors, creating a positive emotional atmosphere, setting high performance standards, encouraging initiative and responsibility, rewarding openly and personally, openly. Nothing is hidden here. Practicing equity and collaboration, and careful monitoring and measurement. It is the leadership factors. Such exciting factors are related to leadership for empowerment. Positive emotional atmosphere. It is very humanistic. It is related to each of the employees. Positive emotional atmosphere. The first, and I think the best character of a good leader. Setting high performance standards. It is going to the organizational standards. Encouraging initiative and responsibility, accountability. You should answer for your actions. You are responsible. And rewarding openly and personally. And practicing equity and collaboration and careful monitoring and measurement as an objective, observable practice, not subjective. Leaders who want to implement empower successfully must walk the talk. Be aware of their verbal and non-verbal signals and believe in the empowerment process. 3 factors, 3 shoulds, 3 musts. Walk the talk, care about the signals, and they should internally believe it, that empowerment will empower the organization. If a leader thinks that after empowerment, he will be weaker and the organization will be chaotic. It's crazy to sharing the power. Why? I should share my power to the subordinates. Why? If after that I think I am not powerful or organization is not so more effective or more chaotic, which. So believing the empowerment process is very important in a leadership. But the organizational factors, it's some external and structural factors related to the structure of organization. The centralized structure is very good. This centralized organization are in the opposite of power sharing. When it is centralizing 1 or 2 or 3 points of organization, it is not sharing. Only 1, 2, or 3 points. Sharing is a lot of points. Appropriate selection and training of leaders and employees. Training. Cost the money of organization for training for the future. Removing bureaucratic constraints. Wow. Rewarding, empowering behaviors for increasing the probability, the chance of repeat of them again in the future. Expressing confidence in subordinates. Because sometimes you will share your power with the subordinates, but they don't have any belief in their self. They don't have any self-confidence. They don't have any confidence to themselves, to accepting the power. So the problem is not the leader, the problem is the subordinate. So expressing confidence in subordinates, and fair and open organizational policies. Autocratic policies doesn't work for power sharing. Impacts of empowerment. Empowering employees is a difficult process. Honestly, it's a difficult process. And in addition to organizational aspects of this process, it has a lot of emotional and affective and psychological aspects, because it is about the believe, accept, and taking some usage of the power, applying the power. But it continues to be recognized as a key factor in the today's new structure and the requirement for leaders. Future leaders forget the centralized power of the leader in the new organization. Forget it. You are the future leaders, future managers. You should know the complexity and you should train to do and solve the complexity of empowerment process. Except that you will be deleted, not the organization. The next one can do it, yes. Such a good and interesting phrase, open book management. That's open book management. I remember open book exams. Sharing information and power. Empowerment, sharing power, it is sharing information and power. It is not only empowerment. A method by Ricardo Semler. A method based on sharing financial information with employees and training them to interpret and use it to set and achieve performance goals. All the freedom and participation are coupled with high performance expectations. You, as an employee, can know and should know about the financial information, but based upon the performance expectation, we need your high performance expectation. We have high performance expectation from you. You are not our employee. You are our partner in organization. Employees who cannot work in the culture or who do not perform do not survive. Survival of fittest, not survival of best. Employees who cannot work in the culture or who do not perform do not survive. And at the end, the first question, the leadership cue in the first of the session. And now, at the end of the session, what is the answer? Power is essential to leadership, but it can also be abused. How can leaders use power to get things done without becoming autocratic or abusive? Answer. Using power well is all about balance and moderation. It has to be just right. Leaders should use all sources of power and influence available to them based on who their followers are and what the situation is. There is no one best way. Winning the hearts and mind is a long-term solution, but sometimes you have to push to get things done. In all cases, the exercise of power must be aimed at achieving organizational goals ethically. Leaders must demonstrate integrity and care for followers as they take action to achieve goals. All we said in this session is summarizing this answer. Using power well is all about balance and moderation. Balance and moderation. Keywords. It has to be just right. Leaders should use all sources of power and influence available to them based on who their followers are and what the situation is. Followers and situation. There is no one best way. Winning the hearts and minds is a long-term solution. Winning the hearts and minds is a long-term solution. But sometimes you have to push to get things done. Sometimes, don't forget, sometimes. Winning the hearts and minds is a long-term solution. But sometimes you have to push to get things done. In all cases, the exercise of power must be aimed at achieving organizational goals ethically. Ethics. Leaders must demonstrate integrity and care for followers as they take action to achieve goals. Thanks for giving your time to me. This session, this material of session is ended, but discussion and argument and the topic of power is a whole life topic. It will never end it. So please share with me your personal attitudes about negative and positive sides of power, and especially about your culture-based, family-based, social-based procedures to use the fair power, not to abuse the power. Thanks a lot. Bye.